a bombshell report from the FDA today that over-the-counter decongestant medications do not work. They literally, in a unanimous vote, have declared there's one. It's called phenylpharine, and it's in these decongestants, and the FDA says it's ineffective. It doesn't really help out with your congestion at all.
Doesn't the FDA approve this stuff?
They did approve it, and so what has happened is the FDA approved it and then found that people were saying this doesn't help, so they went back and reviewed it and say it gives such little relief for your nasal congestion that they're considering taking away the effectiveness label of it and pulling it off the shelf.
What are some of the names we would recognize on the shelf?
Here they are. Sudafed PE. It's called Sudafed PE. Vicks, NyQuil, Sinus, Nighttime.
So this is the Sudafed that's now not behind the counter.
It's available to get. Yeah, you can get it. Sudafed PE. Benadryl Allergy Plus Congestion. That is, by the way, Benadryl, the most popular oral decongestant in the U.S. Those three together make $1.8 billion a year.
Yeah, I bet.
But the FDA says that it is only a tiny bit effective at what it's supposed to do is shrink the blood vessels in your nose so you have less congestion, and it doesn't make it to the nose. Now, the stuff you spray up your nose, they say is still effective, same type stuff. But if you take it orally, it's not. Interesting.
I know everybody is different, but when I get a cold, I just take NyQuil so I can sleep. Nothing treats the symptoms during the day.
I agree. It never
I
works.
just try to drink a lot of liquids.
Mucinex is on this list as not being as effective as they thought. And you and I like that. I
always thought Mucinex at least broke up the stuff.
So did I, but I think it might just be in her head.
It is, yeah. But I've never taken a daytime cold medicine that I was like, wow, that really helped.
I used to take Dayquil, and I thought, I'm not really feeling anything.
I don't think it does help. I think you just, in your head, it's like, well, I'm taking a little something, but...
So the bottom line is, unless you can cook meth with it,
don't use it.
Don't use it.
All the good meth stuff's behind the counter with the pharmacist now.
Dave's right.
Now, that'll work for you. That's better, yeah. Ringo, you're talking about these drugs that have now been deemed ineffective. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just specifically talking about phenylephrine, which is the product in Sudafed PE that you would see over the counter.
Yes.
It didn't exist in a tablet form until they moved all the Sudafed products behind the counter due to the methamphetamine scourge. And so they just put that product out saying, well, since it works in a nose spray, hopefully it'll work in an oral tablet. And I learned in pharmacy school almost 20 years ago that there was no evidence that it ever worked.
Why would
Fascinating.
If that is the case, and that's exactly what I'm reading here today, you're exactly right. Why would the FDA ever say, okay, sell it as this?
I think it was just more so like a knee-jerk response to throw something out there in the hopes that this tablet would actually work without to actually be proven that it did in an oral form. Since we knew it worked very effectively in nasal spray format, they hoped it wouldn't be destroyed by the GI tract as part of digestion and absorption.
There you are.
Your stomach juice is tearing it up, and it can't work.
I guess so.
Yeah, it takes too long to get up there to your nostrils.
It's supposed to be a certain percentage effective for a certain percentage of people, and it's not.
So the nasal sprays are the way to go.
Yeah, do you agree with that, Ringo? You agree with that?
Yeah, well, Sudafed behind the counter is the best, but unfortunately there's folks that have high blood pressure that's uncontrolled that it would raise their blood pressure if they took it.
Okay.
So if they do that, a nasal spray is a good option, but the phenylephrine nasal spray, like Afrin, which is you can only use those for 5 days at a time, or those becomes sort of tolerant or quote-unquote maybe even addicted to it, and it becomes less effective. So that's why you have to have something in an oral form.
Okay. That makes perfect sense. Thank you very much. Now, that's the guy. He knows his stuff.
He knows what he's talking
Went to pharmacy school.
I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for pharmacies because that was my first, real paying job.
That's right.
Sunset Hills Pharmacy.
You worked.
Mom and pop.
That guy that would hit on everybody.
Ralph. Wore a tube. Hit on all the boys.
Did you ever wear it crooked?
Sometimes.
But he didn't hit on you.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Oh, he did hit on you.
Big time.
That's right. He did hit
Big
on
time.
you. But you knew he was hitting on you.
Yes.
And you stayed away from that.
I mean, part of your job as a delivery driver was you had to drive Ralph home on Saturday afternoons. And he'd invite you in, and his film projector would be set up. I mean, this is, the 70s. And so he'd have these porno films, stag films, ready to roll. Just turn off the lights, close the blinds, and Fire up the machine.
I feel like even in the 70s, this was frowned upon.
Yeah.
Don't you think? I feel like
We didn't know what a red flag was.
but that's a red
There were no flags.
There were no flags.
flag back then. They really should have invented flags even back then.
They
I
needed
think.
some
They
sort of standard.
They needed.
And you know what I found out too? Because I was a delivery driver, and
Yeah.
you know, you would be out. But now I watched a UPS guy going through our neighborhood yesterday, and you know, these poor guys are. This guy was drenched in sweat, and you know, he was going from house to house to house because everything is delivered now. And he stopped his truck, honked his horn because the UPS guys are professional. That's part of their
That's right.
protocol.
Yes.
To let you know they're starting their truck or stopping their truck. And he was like halfway out of his truck swigging from a bottle of water because every step they do, every package is tracked.
Yes.
When I would go out with the Sunset Hills Pharmacy car, I'd be gone for an hour and a half.
Whatever you want.
Who cares? They couldn't track
They
me.
never track you back then. That's
Never-
right.
yeah.
You do
Never
whatever
ask
you want.
questions.
Good point.
My UPS guy's fit.
Yeah.
He is.
They say that
He
the
is
Oh, God, yeah. Those
They're
guys are.
nonstop.
Yeah.
women love the UPS guys. They love the uniform.
They're
and they
delivering,
love
too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're doing a
Sorry, Fabio.
They like the brown and all that.
I don't know about the brown.
They like the brown. Mark, you're talking about these drugs that are now being deemed ineffective. Go ahead.
What's up, guys? P1. I called you guys a while back, man. I had a stroke a couple years ago, and one of the things that happened at the end of it was I was taking these decongestants because I felt like I had like a sinus strip, what ended up being more like fluid in my lungs.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that the doctors told me in recovery was that only contributed to my high blood pressure. It did literally nothing for what I was doing. So I kind of knew about this a long time ago, but it's great that they're actually putting this out there now, because if you take too much of this stuff, it definitely can contribute to high blood pressure and lead to other health problems.
Unbelievable.
You don't want that.
And that's what the pharmacist just called us and said too.
Ringo.
Ringo says pharmacist Ringo says you can't take some of this stuff if you've got high blood pressure.
Is your blood pressure under control now?
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm in good health, but this was almost 2.5 years ago.
Thank you, Mark.
Good.
I remember your call about the stroke too.
Yeah.
That was really something as well when you called it in.
I have to say, since COVID, I don't want to jinx things for myself. I haven't had a full-on cold.
Are you going to take the COVID vaccine that's available as of the next few days?
I would say no, but I haven't had a cold since 2019.
You think the vaccine is helping you with
I
that?
don't know.
That's anecdotal at best.
At best.
At best.
Ringo would laugh at you.
Where is Ringo?
Oh, he's behind you.
Bring
fell
me
into the trap,
Ringo.
Dave.
Where's Ringo?
Where's that Ringo?
How many times did Paul say that? Where's Ringo?
Where's Ringo?
Behind you.
Man, I'll tell you, this is how how malleable, how gullible I am. You know, I had said to my wife, I'm not getting the vaccine this time around. I just said, I feel like I'm just going to roll without the COVID vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
And then last night I saw a news report saying COVID vaccines are available, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And the anchor said, it's recommended you get the vaccine. And I turned to my wife and I said, I guess I'll get it. Since the anchor said it, I said, well, I guess I'll just go ahead and get it. Doesn't matter. If somebody tells me something, I'll just do it. If somebody with any kind of knowledge of it or any kind of professionalism at all.
Well, if your doctor tells you.
That I probably need to do is just call the doctor and say,
I already got my flu shot.
You already got it?
Well, I mean, I went to my doctor last week because I had to do some blood work, and she says, I'm going to give you the flu shot. I said, do I really? She says, you're getting it.
She just told you that.
I gave it to me.
I love dominating women.
Well, she's female. You'd love her.
And just,
you want her name?
I do. She's behind you. I do. I want to. If she says
She's herding her sheep.
All right.
Yep. Yeah. That's how it starts with a jab and a mask.
well, I like that. I like your doctor. I don't. Do I really?
It's jabbing season.
She's
The United
fabulous.
States of sheep.
You're getting it.
Yeah.
One more health note here. A Salt Lake City woman says she is in good condition after she swallowed one of her husband's AirPods, mistaking it for a vitamin. She takes these large white vitamins every day, and her husband's AirPod apparently was left out on the counter, and she thought she had put her vitamin out already, took it with a glass of water. He, an hour later, said, where's my other AirPod? There was one sitting there. And she goes, oh, my God, I took it.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It really is.
It really, if this is true,
Lionel Richie coming out of her stomach.
It is.
I mean, AirPod's long. How do you confuse that with a vitamin?
Should it look like the
They're
vitamin?
not round.
No.
No, they're not round.
It's a bean shape. You know, it's just not. You're
Some are
right.
bigger than others.
They're long, but it's got a little long neck to it.
Got the thing that goes into your ear canal.
And hangs down.
The earwaxy part.
She called her doctor, and her doctor said, "Let it pass naturally."
What are you going to do?
It turned up 2 days later.
Still playing? What's a good charge on that thing?
It sounded like Imagine Dragons.
Yeah, the husband put it back. Would the husband put it back in his ears?
That does not go back in the ear.
Oh man, would you keep? Because those are expensive, aren't they?
They can be.
They can be.
I thought so. So
The good ones.
he's got to put it.
There's
back.
some cheapies, but
What's cheap?
I don't know, like $50 for like a cheap pair. I don't
Oh,
know.
well, that's what
Yeah.
I paid.
Did you? Yeah, so-
I think I paid $55-$60.
I mean, if it's a true AirPod, it has a longer neck. If it's something smaller, like a Beats by Dre, I could see
maybe that.
those fit more like in the ear.
It said an AirPod, and she said they were really expensive, so she was really hoping to pass.
She got the
it.
AirPods Pro.
Yeah, she did. That was playing out of her toilet.
You poop it out?
Pooped it out. Playing in her gut, out of her toilet. Come here, guys.